Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, it's the brother Jim S. Atlanta. We're going to start out by giving all honor and glory to
YAHAWAH,
BAHASHAM,
YAHAWASHI,
BAHASHAM,
BAHASHAM.
Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to all the Akim out there pushing the word and sincerity and the truth. You know, we back at it with another lesson, going into the time being a tester of men. All right, because in this truth, as it is written, we're supposed to wax over in our work. All right, because time, especially when it's pertaining to work or any type of occupation, is going to show if you're really about it or you're just a short-lived individual. All right, because when you say for instance, whatever craft you're in, if you're in a basketball or football, the time that you're actually in that practice is going to show if you're worthy of the Hall of Fames, if you're worthy of merits and worthy of those receiving accomplishments, so to speak. You know, and you got certain men that actually they'll indulge in certain practices, but they're really not dedicated unto the craft. And it shows through what? The test of time. Mm-hmm. All right, they start to digress, so to speak. All right, instead of increasing, they actually decrease. All right, you know, because they ain't putting their time, they're not investing their energy, and they're not appreciating. All right, their value is not increasing; it is decreasing at an alarming rate. Because what the test of time is showing if that man is actually of that fine gold, or is he just just another reprobate, so to speak. You have that old saying that pressure busts pipes and it makes diamonds. So that's through what time and because time is really examination, man. You know, through time and pressure, all these different things show what manner of a man he is. All right, whether he's actually a man of integrity, whether he's a man that goes through different tribulations and trials and endure those different tests, or is he a type of guy that potentially is a fallout, so to speak. And it's a lot of men that you see through situations and conditions that when it emerges and arises in their face, that they actually waver. And the Most High actually, through more and more hardships and more hell being, bound onto that man, the Most High shows that some guys aren't even worthy of the crown. All right? And that's why the Most High really has us going through these different things in this faith, because he's not tarrying for us not make it to the kingdom of heaven. All right? He's doing these different things for us to endure, to see if the men that's going to appreciate to continue and hold on to the faith, and the men that's really not about this truth to depreciate and to basically detach themselves away from the source of the spirit. So, without further ado, we're going to jump straight to the scriptures. And you have that? Yeah, you can get that in James.
This is James 1:12. It says, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptation."
Right, it says, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptations." The temptations come from what? The spiritual demon Satan. All right, and we're blessed that we endure these different things. When the spiritual demon Satan actually comes and attacks us, tries to, plague our mind, if we're deprived of food and we're deprived of different things that the natural man of this world actually, desires. The scripture says, "Blessed is that man." All right, because even with going back to the initial points of the lesson, even with time, it actually shows if you're really about that life or not, so to speak. Right. If you're truly dedicated through what? Endurance, that serious mindedness. All right, not wavering, steadfast. The scriptures speak heavily about being steadfast, stable, established. All right, because rooted. All that's located in the book of Colossians, all these different things is written throughout the scriptures, all right, to show if you're a man that's rooted in the spirit of YAHAWASHI, or if you're just loose, all right, if you're loose roots, because if you're loose roots, when those that hell and those winds of oppression, all right, and the floods of temptations and things actually come your way, you'll be yanked up. Keep going.
It says, "For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life."
So when he is tried, and another word for tried is tested, he shall receive the crown of life. So we all have to go through tests in this faith, man. Tests are initial, and they're very, very important. They're of a major importance to show if we're really about of that number or not. All right, because it's a lot of men that's crept in unawares, and as time progresses, and more hardships actually come upon us as individuals, collectively as a body, you know, it's going to show if certain men are really dedicated to this truth or they just bullshit artists. All right? And it's written that you have a friend that's a companion at the table, because you got a lot of men that like coming around because they like the lamb, you know. They like how brothers cook. They like how brothers cuss out the black woman or the so-called white man. When they got when they're angry, they have a vessel to vent onto. But this truth is not about that. Of course, those are aspects. You're supposed to be angry at this world. Scripture says, "Be ye angry." All right, but it also says to sin not. So even though you have these different angers and you have these different things, endurance is one of the major importance in this faith. All right, and Paul spoke heavily about men that didn't endure, mainly Hymenaeus and Philetus. All right, Alexander, if I'm not mistaken, Alexander the coppersmith. If I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna look it up. But he spoke on he brought out a lot of names. All right, Second Timothy, the second chapter. All right, spoke about, like I said, if I'm not mistaken, Hymenaeus and Philetus. Said the word does eat as a canker, and it spoke about Demas. That's the word. That's what I was looking for. Demas. He said, Demas have forsaken me, having loved this present world. Why? Because the test of time showed that that he had a craving, he had a strong desire to go back into the world.
Right.
All right. Instead of really enduring through the years and time and catching hell for righteousness' sake until he could make it to the kingdom of heaven, so to speak, as Paul. All right. Keep going.
He shall receive the crown of life.
He shall receive the crown of life. All right. The crown of life represents what? The kingdom of heaven. And we're looking all to receive that crown. All right, just like a king, before you actually sit on that throne, you have to go through steps and different stages to show if you're worthy or not. And us brothers of the hopeful elect, as we progress and actually ascend to this kingdom, we have to go through these different tests and trials. All right, because a king has to be a man of much experience, man.
Yeah.
What is a king's job? To judge nations, judge the highest matters, deal with wise men, deal with the higher courts, deal with officials, deal with policy. You have to have a lot of experience. You have to have stood the test of time. All right, because if you wouldn't, then guess what? Everything in your hands would just destroy and it will actually plunder under you, so to speak.
Yeah.
As it is written in Sirach. All right, was that the 10th chapter? A wise king. Unwise king destroyeth his people. All right, but basically a prudent king, the house is well established. Keep going.
It says, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him.
Mm-hmm. It says the Lord hath promised unto them that love him. All right, and then we have a sincere love, a genuine affection for the spirit of YAHAWASHI. We're going to continue no matter what. Didn't Paul say that? I'm persuaded that neither life nor death, riches and poor, principalities, no type of spirit is going to separate him from the YAHAWASHI. So he's basically speaking about the test of time. It don't matter what he goes through. If he's in the highest estate, if he's blessed with 80, 90K, so to speak, $1 million, $10 million, or if he's just slap broke. Mm-hmm. All right. If his woman leader, hey, Job said that though he's slaving, I'm gonna remember YAHAWASHI. Even though his woman said, curse the Most High and die. Job had to go through the test. Satan came to the Most High personally. Matter of fact, what's that? Job 1 and 2. Yeah, get that real fast, because we got to go into the examples. There's plenty of examples of men that stood that test, man. All right, that's why they have such excellent and exquisite testimonies. Not because they were just men that was just balling out and they was, in the strip club throwing thousands of dollars and being that nigga in Babylon or that nigga in Greece. Nah, because they was amongst the poor and they endured troubles and hardships all for righteousness' sake. So that's the test of time, actually holding down righteousness' sake in a world of wickedness, man. You got that?
You want to depart with the wife said, "Curse the Most High and die."
You can get that, or where Satan actually plagued him personally in Job, the first chapter. If you have that, you can start with it. You can start with the beginning. Job 1. But you got something in the meantime?
Yeah, I got something real quick. This is
Matter of fact,
Matthew.
Okay, you go ahead.
This is Matthew. Actually, I started Proverbs 13 and just lost it.
You can bring it up with Job. Job 1 and 9.
See?
Yeah.
Right.
No,
I wanted to go into that joke first anyway, since it was hot.
All right, Job 1 and 6. It says, "Now there was a day when the sons of the Most High came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man?"
Jump down to verse 13. Because we all are familiar with the dialogue that Satan had with the Most High for the most part. That's a common story. Satan came into the realm of the sons of the power, and he was up with the assembly, and he basically had a bet with the Most High to tempt Job on a high level. All right? Tempt him through his substance, tempt him through his family, everything that he had near and dear. His job was to basically break down and actually, shatter everything around Job and see if his spirit would actually crack amongst all the different things that was being broken and shattered in his vicinity. All right, verse 13.
It says, Job 1 and 13, "And there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabians fell upon them, and they took them away. Yet they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee." While he was
So them plagues started to eat Job alive, man. All right, and it's gonna keep going. It's gonna get worse and worse. Keep going.
It says, "While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of the Most High is fallen from heaven, and have burnt up the sheep."
See, the fire from the Most High came from heaven and burnt up his sheep. So all his substance is getting totally eradicated. All right, and with sheep, you make good money, man. That should increase. With sheep, you got food, you got clothing, you got weaponry, you got shelter. You can make a lot of things from sheepskin and things of that nature. Like I said, clothing and things of that nature. All right, so all his cattle, which is his increase, got totally vanquished. Keep going.
It says, "And have burnt up the sheep and the servants and consumed them."
And the servants and consumed them. That's his property, his slaves, man. That's your workers, so to speak. He got his workers constantly working day and night, building his empire up, so to speak, building his structure. He lost all that. Keep going.
"And I only am escaped alone to tell thee." While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried them away. And slain the servants with the edge of the sword.
Yep.
And I only am escaped alone to tell thee."
See, Job is losing it all, man. And servants coming back to back to back. As one servant is giving him a bad story, another servant is running and approaching him and giving him a worse story. What do you say? Adding really adding fuel to the fire, man. Because if it wasn't already bad enough, it gets worse. Keep going.
Yeah, most high can bring you very low,
But it was all a test. All right, keep going.
It says, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee."
So Job had a lot of sons and daughters, and they died, man. All right. So the sons, he said, they are dead, and I come to tell thee. So he lost the camel, he lost the sheep, he lost the servants, lost his brother, his children. Keep going.
It says it says, verse 20, "Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down."
He tore his mantle. His mantle is like a cape, man. He tore. because he was rent in the spirit, catching hell, grieving. And it said he did what?
It says rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshiped.
Meaning he was in a low state, so he fell to the ground and worshiped. Keep going.
And said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither.
Yeah, so he felt like he was cursed to death, man. He felt like it was the end. After he lost all those things, he was like, man, the Most High is jacking me up, for a reason, man. Not knowing ultimately that Satan made a bet with the Most High to try his integrity. It was all about the integrity. And that word Job, if I'm not mistaken, goes back to the Hebrew word ayash, which means persecuted. All right, because he was getting persecuted for righteousness' sake, not because he was wicked. And if you could jump to Job 42 and 12, because even when you go through the process of going to the book of Job, like I said, what we just went into, all his substance was being burnt up and destroyed. He caught boils. His woman said, curse the Most High and die. All right, his friends was constantly, weighing down upon Job, dialoguing with him and coming from an aspect like, hey, the Most High is jacking you up for a reason, man. What did you do, this, that, and that? And Job was just catching it, man. He was, blemished up with all those different boils and things of that nature. His woman wasn't beside him. His children was gone. All the money that he actually had, his increase was destroyed. He didn't know where to turn. But to BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Now, did Job curse the Most High? No. Like I said earlier, he said, though he slay me, yet will I basically remember his name.
Yeah, and that's also the spirit that we gotta be in too. Is also being ready to lose everything we have. Because when the Lord breaks you down and brings you to your lowest point, you always have to remember the Lord and keep that faith and realize that it's a test. Everything is thrown your way as an opportunity of growth, or the Most High basically bring you through that for strength. But like we're getting ready to read, all right, Job was built up and he had his substance increased. But y'all can select.
Job, the one I just
42. Just Job 42 and 12. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning.
That's right. So he got the latter. He basically gave him more than he had to begin with, and that was the whole thing about it. Is like the brother was breaking down that Job, Satan had a bet with the Most High basically, and it was all just to test Job's integrity. All right, and he came out and he was blessed. All right, because he withstood all the hell that he caught. All right,
he stood the test of time. Yep. Because as he caught that hell, and it wasn't just a short duration, it was a lot. The book of Job is a pretty lengthy book. It's at the 42nd chapter. Yeah. So from the first chapter, 41 chapters forward, he was catching that hell until the 42nd chapter. So it was a lot of events and a lot of things that was going on between those different, those two chapters, so to speak. That between those, all right, the first and the 42nd chapter, it was a lot of events. It was a lot of crying. There was a lot of mourning that Job had to do. A lot of persecution. A lot of people that was actually complaining and speaking down on him, weighing down on his spirit, but he didn't crack. He endured, and he still believed. And the Most High did what? Eventually, he just took those weights off. He's like, all right, man, I see that you confirmed it. You beat Satan, man. The test was ultimately to see if you was going to endure, or was you going to actually come against me and denounce me as being the true and omnipotent one, and you stayed faithful and you remained in the path of YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI, even though you lost everything. All right. So what did he get blessed with? Keep going.
It says, so the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels. And
so he got his sheep back and he got his camels back. Keep going.
And 1,000 yoke of oxen.
1,000 yoke of oxen. Keep going.
And 1,000 she asses.
And 1,000 she asses. Keep going.
He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters.
So he got his sons back and his daughters. Even though he lost them, he gained it all back. Keep going.
And he called the name of the first, Jemima, and the name of the second, Kezia, and the name of the third, Karen Hapuch. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job.
So the Most High, hey, and then on top of that, he made the women's bad, man. Job's daughters were beautiful. All right, then he made sure that they had the highest, most attractive, alluring countenance. All right, all because of the faith of Job. He made sure that he was stacked up with ox, sheep, servants. He made sure that the rest of his life was good, just because he stayed faithful and he dedicated himself when he lost the things, man. Because it's not always about the highs, man. It's not always about what you have in this thing, man. Yeah. The Most High wants to try you in your lowliness. All right, the scriptures talk about how a friend is known through adversity. The word adversity goes into trials and basically having the adversary on your ass.
Yeah, and that's what we're going through in Babylon right now. You know, we have to go through the sufferings, and we have to go through like Romans 8:18 says. You know, the sufferings of this time are not worthy to be compared. You know, but you know, we have to be brought low. We have to be broken down. We have to be shown the bad in order to
embrace the good.
Yeah, in order to embrace the good and to know what good is. Because once we receive, you know, Lord willing, once we receive that good and receive the kingdom, you know, then we're gonna look back and reflect on the bad.
We're gonna appreciate it
and appreciate it. Exactly. You know.
That's right.
But
some more on that.
Yeah, it was just it was too much.
Okay.
And after he says, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years and saw his sons and his sons' sons even 4 generations.
He seen his sons and his sons' sons even 4 generations. So even though he lost all that in that short span of time and at that appointed time, he, like you say, he threw himself in the dirt and he felt like he wanted to die. Through him being faithful, he got to live to see all those generations. That's glorious, man. If you see, or if you really into, you know, so-called family tradition, your great grandfather or your grandfather seeing those traditions down, that's a miracle in itself, man. Especially in the so-called black community. All right, what do they say? 20. It's a blessing to even reach 21. Just think about 4 generations. You seen your son grow up from a youth and elevate, and him have children, and his children have children, and you see all these different generations all come out of your loins.
Right.
Your daughter's beautiful amongst everybody in the city. You know, they get spoke of and complimented. You know, all through your stock. All because of what? You endured. You stayed on the path. You stayed on that straight and narrow. And you had to catch that hell for a season. All right, but you believed. You believed in YAHAWASHI. All right, keep going.
So Job died being old and full of days.
So he was old and he was full of days. All right, his days wasn't shortened. All right, in his days he waxed fat. He lived a full and a healthy life. He was fulfilled. All right. Because even if you live in a lot of these people, they live a full life, but it's a full life of suffering, hell, sorrow, all for wickedness' sake. So at the end of the day, even though they're living a life, it's grievous. It's basically living a life in hell. Yeah. The longer they live in, the worse it is, basically.
Yeah.
Some people be in that mentality like, man, I should have died fucking yesterday, man. Yeah. Why the hell am I still living? I'm basically I'm cursed for even being alive right now. These 60, 70-year-olds with arthritis and gout, someone with amputated legs and slow speech. All right, so the Most High basically, going back to the point, the Most High basically stuck with Job because Job stuck with him. As it is written, draw near to the Most High, he will draw near to you. It's all about your relationship with YAHAWASHI. All right, and when you go through these things, what do? Pray. YAHAWASHI, please deliver me out of this situation. Strengthen my faith, strengthen my courage, strengthen my endurance. Give me the faith of Job. Give me the faith of Abraham. Faithful Abraham, that's what he's known as in the scriptures. All right? And the Most High bless you. Because you ain't asking for the finest chick in your city. or the nicest ride. You asking for spiritual gifts.
Right.
All right. You try to develop your spiritual house so that you'll be able to emulate your forefathers. And you think the Most High won't rain those blessings down? Have faith, believe. All right. But you're gonna have to go through those different tests to see if you're to really gauge your faithfulness and your belief, your sincerity.
Right.
You got something?
Yeah, this is Matthew 24 and Matthew 24 and 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So this is prophecy is talking about the days to come. All right, it's going to be iniquity all throughout this place. All right, it says 13, but he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved.
And the word endure means to make hard. You want to say?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's the key word that we brought out in the precept before is endurance. Being able to withstand, being able to continue and push on through this fight. It says, but he that endure unto the end the same shall be saved. So endure to the end, that means reaching the finish line. Not getting worn out. Okay, not burning yourself out.
Not getting tired before the finish.
Mm-hmm.
Not before the game is accomplished, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not before the mission is done.
Yeah. Not letting these different demons and obstacles beat you down and defeat you. You gotta keep pushing, push on through. Have just like you said, made hard. The words endure means to make hard. All right. There's gonna be things in your way that you have to be rock hard and crumble.
Right. And that's like I said that in Ecclesiastes, through sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. Because that's how you're really made hard, is through what? Sadness. Depression. Sometimes these demons press on you and they try to depress you and oppress you. Or I say more so oppression. Oppression makes you stronger. If you resist it, constantly staying faithful, praying unto YAHAWASHI, that builds your faith, man. But you have to utilize these different prayers and utilize the gifts of YAHAWASHI when the spirit of these demons and all these different spirits is weighing down on you. That makes you a stronger individual. What they say, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So when you go through that different tunnel of afflictions and all kind of different adversities, when you get to the other side, you can actually see where you came from. So you can gauge your level. Like, man, I got a lot of faith, man. I see that the Most High, it's showing that I have a lot of faith. And if I keep up with this path, I'll be able to endure all things, man. Always. So you always have to gauge your faith. Always got to gauge the level you on. All right, so that you can make it to the finish line. Because this thing is all about making it to the end, as it is written: "He that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved." All right, and if you don't make it to the end, hey, you just compromise your crown. So that's what it is, You got some more?
Yeah, I got another precept. This is Proverbs 12 and 19. The lip of the truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. So the lip of the truth is established forever, and that's how these scriptures are. They're forever. It's eternal life, living waters. All right, which, like we're going into, is basically time. All right, our minds can't grasp forever. Okay, it says a lip of truth shall be established forever. All right, so through this truth and through this knowledge, that's how we endure. Just like how we're talking about endurance, that's how we're going to keep our spirits. All right. And transition into the kingdom with YAHAWASHI. All right. It says, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. So a lying tongue is quick. All right. It's only gonna go but so far. Just like Esau. All right. His kingdom is basically crumbling pretty quickly. All right, because he has a lying tongue.
Short standing.
You know,
short stamina also.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. But let me see. I think I have one more.
I got some.
Okay.
This is Judith 8:25. Moreover, let us give thanks to the Lord our power, which trieth us, even as he did our fathers. So the Most High is gonna actually make us go through the same thing as our forefathers, as is written, the servant is not greater than the master. All right, and the sons is not greater than the forefathers, man. We have to go through the same thing our forefathers did, because in reality we are our forefathers. All right, so we have to actually go through these different things. How much more in the days of wickedness to be strong and be courageous, so to speak. Says, even as he did our fathers, remember what things he did to Abraham and how he tried Isaac, and what happened to Jacob in Mesopotamia of Syria when he kept the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother. So these different individuals, they had caught a lot of hell for the righteousness' sake, but they endured the test of time, man. Abraham got tried on all kind of different levels. And one example, it just slipped my mind on. With Abraham, he had to sacrifice Isaac. The Most High told him to sacrifice Isaac, and he didn't talk back. All right, he did that which was told him, and he was known through his faith at that specific time. Isaac, he basically was a faithful man himself. All right, Jacob, he wrestled the angel. All right, then he had belief, and he had to work for what is that, Leah and Rachel. All right, so he endured certain things because he believed, man. All these different men of the Lord, they had to go through all kind of tribulations because of their belief. If they didn't really go through these different things, you wouldn't have no book of Jeremiah. Right? You wouldn't have no book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. It's actually going into YAHAWASHI. You wouldn't have these different testimonies of Paul, testimonies of Isaiah. The book of Job. If Job didn't go through that, what would be the point of the book of Job? To talk about how much he had? People been having things since the beginning of time. That's not something that's glorious. You always had the rich. Yep. You always had the poor. But the men that actually endure and stay in their life and have faith in YAHAWASHI, that's something that's glorious to observe and behold, man.
Yeah, and that's something that stood out. All right, and it's still talked about today in 2018.
Stood the test of time.
Yeah, exactly. Job's work stood the test of time. You know, and that's these scriptures as well. Because everything in these scriptures is withstanding the test of time. Why is it that this book, or this collection of books has basically been around and is still the most popular book in today's time? It's because everything in it is true.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it says in Psalms. Matter of fact, if I can pull this quick piece, I want you in there with that. This is Psalms 12:6. Says, the words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in the furnace of earth, purified 7 times. Because that's a tester. Purified 7 times is constantly going through that heat. All right, and if it's not of that pure metal, then it's gonna burn out. These words have been going through so many things. They've been scoffed at, looked down upon. A lot of people try to critique and it's basically say that these words is gonna fade out through generations. But guess what? They become more and more valid as time progresses. They say the prophecies ain't gonna come to pass. Then the same people that say the prophecies ain't gonna come to pass, they start to actually believe in the prophecies, man.
Right.
Because they see the prophecies. Because why? It's standing the test of time. It don't matter how you actually split it and cut it, try to rearrange it. The facts are still there. It's plain, man.
And the Lord's men are also standing the test of time. Because, they're continuing to push, all right, and they're continuing to increase themselves in the scriptures.
Yep.
So it goes hand in hand, because these scriptures were made by the elect men, and they're used and utilized by the elect men, all right. So the same way that these scriptures are withstanding the test of time, then the men in the scriptures and the men that are utilizing these scriptures, the prophets, they're also withstanding. So it's a balance, or it all flows, it all connects together. All right. So hey, that's that's the main point, is that these things are going to withstand the test of time, because Yahawashi is eternal. He's going to give us eternal life, all right, and that's going to continue to drive the elect and put them in the kingdom,
Yep.
right? You know.
You got something?
Got anything? Nah, that's it.
Well, yeah, that's all we have for you, Akim. You know, hopefully our brothers is edified, because it's important that we all stay strong and endure. And if you're getting weak in the faith, if you're getting weak any type of way, pray, man. Because if you endure to the end, you're going to get blessed like faithful Abraham, you know, faithful Job, and all the faithful men that endure in these scriptures, all right? And you will actually have your testimony. We all have our own personal testimonies from the hell that we actually catch in this kingdom, man. We'll have our own book, so to speak. Everything is being inscripted, orally. First off, through the Urim and the Thummim, all right, but really through the spirit of YAHAWASHI, the angels that's jotting everything down. So, you know, stay strong, stay faithful, stay courageous, Akim. So we're gonna end it by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Yahawashi, BAHASHAM, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, Akim.
Shalom.